Let's start with a couple of definitions, because if you Google the word innovation, you get 1.8 billion different hits. Now, I'm not saying they're all different definitions, but there are companies out there who spend a lot of money and time and energy coming up like their definition of innovation, like that's important.
That is why innovation is one of our core values.
So let's talk about a couple of definitions, so at least we start at the same level. Here we go. So what is innovation to you? I know it means different things to different people. I have a very simple definition which I like to use, and I've been using that for years. It is useful ideas implemented with success. As simple as that. Implemented because very often ideas stay in our heads, and if it just stays there in an Excel sheet, doesn't go out into the world, well, then it's not really innovation. Then the other one is useful ideas, because there's a lot of innovations out there, like these kind of things. And they may be cool, but they're kind of pointless. To me, useful is something that creates progress, that gets people to move forward, and gets people to do something that they could not do before. That, to me, is a useful idea. So innovation, very simple, useful ideas implemented with success. And the cool thing is there are several ways of innovating. It's not just one size fits all. So one example is what I like to call leader-led innovation. It's a company like Elon Musk's Tesla. We have a visionary leader that drives the company forwards towards these really cool inventions and innovations. Or maybe it's not leader-led. Maybe it's a company like one of my favorites, GoPro. And the thing about GoPro is that all the people that GoPro has know their consumers so incredibly well. They know how to speak to them. They know how to get under their skin. And that's what drives their innovation. Or maybe it's innovating the Zara way, which is basically having young designers who know exactly what's happening in the market and just having an incredibly quick supply chain set up so you can quickly move to the needs and the wants of the market. And very often when we talk about innovation, we also have to talk about creativity. And we have this belief that certain people are born creative and other people are not. Or we believe that creativity is only put aside for these special people with special brains. And yeah, that's kind of true. There are these people like Michelangelo, like Einstein. These people are also very, very rare. But at the end of the day, creativity is no more than making a connection between sometimes unconnected things. It's seeing something here, seeing something there, putting that together and creating something novel with that, something that we haven't seen before. Creativity is kind of that in the head, and innovation is taking that out into the world. But even though I like to talk about creativity, we have to talk about critical thinking, because far too often do I see creative sessions where there is zero critical thinking. It is a process of taking something that you've created, let's say you have a half-baked idea, and then putting some critical eyes on there and saying, where is the idea weak? What do we need to do to make it stronger? How are we going to sell this? Who's this for? What's not working? You can have too much critical thinking where ideas get shot out of the sky like clay pigeons on a Sunday afternoon, or there is no critical thinking and you end up with a whole bunch of ideas which may look cool but are completely useless. Now here's a little clever graph for you to use if you want to look at your innovation pipeline. Now most companies want to have breakthrough innovations, the big stories that we read about and we see on TV. The reality is they're often very hard to get to. So if you want to look at your portfolio, you could say that innovation is a bit like this. Let's say that you've got solutions on one side from same to new, and you've got your markets on the other side from same to new. Most of your innovation might just be core innovation. They might not be super breakthrough, they might not be super exciting, but it's like line extension, it's like a new packaging, it's a rebranding that usually sits within core. It's kind of the same stuff to the same people. Now you push that one layer out, now we get into adjacent, and this is where maybe you've got the same kind of stuff but to new people, or vice versa. You have the same people but you sell them something new. This is where we get into the adjacent area. If you really push beyond that, we're going to get into breakthrough, and that is where you've got completely new markets with completely new products. And very often when people think of big innovation, they think that. Of course, the further out you go, the biggest risk and the bigger pushback you're going to get. And that's why sometimes people argue that the bigger an organization, the less likely they're going to innovate because of the risk aversion that they have. But the reality is you can innovate at different levels. A rule of thumb is if you look at an organization, a healthy portfolio would be a 70-20-10. 70% will be kind of core, 20% will be adjacent, and then 10% of the budget maybe push that to something that's a bit further out and a bit more breakthrough, a bit more innovative. And that's kind of what we're doing over here. I want to give you a couple of new tools and new skills so you can have these different ideas that lie a bit further out there.